Hi there, welcome back to Breakfast All Day. So it's time to move into film reviews now. Christy, Alonso, Ben, Matt, we are all here. It's magical. Three of us have seen Alita, Battle Angel. Matt, tell us about it.
Alita Battle Angel is the story of a cyborg named Alita who seems to, her core is her body and kind of her heart, and she gets a new mechanical body from a mysterious doctor, and she doesn't remember where she comes from, and turns out, she's really amazing at fighting, and
she's a battle angel.
Yes, she's angelic, and she battles, and there is...
It's the 27th century?
27th century dystopia. This is based on the manga and also anime, Battle Angel Alita. This has been in development by James Cameron for a long, long time. He was talking about this around the time Avatar was in production. And you get lots of cyborg on cyborg action.
And that's your main takeaway from this, is that they have cyborg sex?
Well, I meant battling.
Oh, okay.
That's actual action.
There's kissing too. There is kissing, yeah.
This is not the Bjork video, All Is Full of Love.
So Robert Rodriguez directed this. This is like far and away the largest budget that he has ever even been in the same room with in his lifetime.
I mean, talk about two diametrically opposed filmmakers in terms of means, Cameron and Rodriguez.
So, and in that regard, now that he's got, a more expensive toy box to play in, the action sequences are a lot of fun, and they move really, really well, and they are the only reason to see this film. There is so much going on here. It is so crammed with story, and yet it also simultaneously feels empty in terms of character development. Shocking from a James Cameron film, which he co-wrote and produced. And so Rosa Salazar, as game as she is for everything, for all the physical demands of this performance capture performance she's giving, there are so many contradictory elements to her character, which I guess will be fleshed out in the many other Alita movies that they think they're going to make someday.
Well,
I don't know.
The predictions are that it's going to really underperform this week. The predictions are that it's actually going to be kind of a bomb.
What did it cost to make? Do we know? I'm going to look it up.
A lot.
11 gajillion.
Yeah, exactly. $1 million, $1 billion. And so if it doesn't do well, we won't see anymore, coupled with this is one of the final films coming out of Fox before Fox is now run by Disney. Yeah. And so who knows if Disney's going to continue this.
According to the Hollywood Reporter, $200 million, and that's probably just the production budget, because there's also an insane amount of marketing everywhere you go. So
there's so much world building going on in this movie, and you're right, it's at the expense of character, and so it's sort of like, it's that thing of, well, the next 4 movies will really explain what's going on here and why it matters. And in the meantime, you're just sort of left with this very shiny, effects-heavy thing. And there are some fun action sequences, but I didn't care about anything. It felt weirdly reminiscent of Astro Boy, of all things.
And also Rollerball.
Definitely some rollerball in there. Yeah, I mean, it's motorball, I think is what they call it here.
It's totally different, you guys. It's not rollerball, it's motorball.
But once that starts, all I thought was, oh God, pod racing. Like, that's what it feels like in this movie. It's like, we're going to pod race now for a while.
And the sport isn't even that exciting. It's not like it's a thrilling, engaging sport that you're in the middle of and you want to be a part of it.
Yeah,
it's like, they skate with a ball.
I didn't care about anything. And it's one of those things where your eyes realize that nothing you're looking at exists in a tangible form. And sometimes in a live action movie where it's that CG heavy, it just all becomes like ones and zeros to me. Like, nothing has weight, nothing has any kind of real substance or meaning. And so I'm just watching these flickering images of things, but none of it registers as mattering or existing.
Right, and then you have really serious actors like Mahershala Ali and Christoph Waltz and Jennifer Connelly, and they are just sort of fighting their way through the ones and zeros and having difficulty registering. I mean, Mahershala Ali can do everything, but the villain he's assigned to play here is just so one note.
Somebody suggested he was doing Matrix cosplay.
It is. Yeah, he's got everything but the leather duster going on. Ed Skrein, who I thought was Nicholas Hoult the whole time. He's just a face, essentially. Also, I want to tell you, if you're thinking about taking kids, and I did not take mine, and I'm really glad in retrospect that I didn't, it's extremely violent. And it is like cyborg violent, and it is like, half human, half machines getting sliced in half and dismembered, and body parts are flying everywhere.
Right, but it's not blood. It's like blue stuff.
It's like Freon.
And also, if you're the kind of person that regularly checks doesthedogdie.com, this might have some triggering moments for you.
Oh, yeah. This was the movie I was talking about. Remember last week where I was like, doesn't a dog die? This was the movie I was thinking of. Anyway, so.
When I saw it, I was like, that's what.
That's what. Yes. Yeah. So
I'm out.
No, seriously, it's game changing. Yeah. I don't blame you. Speaking of dogs, we have Sabrina here today. She's sitting at my feet, very snuggy on the rug beneath my feet. So it's a jumble. Although I really like Rosa Salazar. I like the choice of Rosa Salazar for this role, and she is giving it her all. And I'm sure it was very challenging physically to do the kind of performance capture. But and there are some moments of excitement, like in her self-discovery. But we've seen that. We've seen the character who doesn't realize she has powers and discovers them.
Is this a John Carter thing where this manga has been around for a while and other people have been borrowing from it, and now that we're going to the source material, it feels tired? Like Valerian, too?
I think so. I think the manga's from, I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but it's been around something for a while, and so there probably is some of that.
Have you read it? Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Because I understand that it's also super violent, and folks who are fans of it are shocked that it could be made in PG-13 form.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I just know that it was a manga and then an anime adaptation, and there's at least 3 or 4 movies that are the adaptation, and there's some books, or maybe I don't know. Anyway,
can we talk about the eyes?
Well, so I actually thought this movie was okay. It kind of delivered exactly what I expected. This is going to be really over the top. It's not as tight and not as engaging, but it felt a little bit like Pacific Rim. It's not taking itself seriously. It's just going to be kind of bonkers. And it kind of gave me what I really expected. Now, one of the issues that kind of took me out of the movie is that Alita, her whole face is CGI. They've definitely stylized it and made her look consistent with, you end up seeing another character from Mars and looks consistent to her. And then there's the character that, the big thug one that
Jackie Earle Haley,
that you can't see his face, but then everybody else, all the other cyborgs, they're all like those people's faces. They're not redone CGI, so it's this weird inconsistency that
they give her these big eyes, which in an anime is fine, whatever, but I couldn't stop seeing them. I would kind of get into the movie for a while, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, those eyes.
Yeah, it was a really weird choice, and I get what they're trying to do, which is that because when you start getting flashbacks of her and the other, somebody else from Mars.
Is it Mars or is it the floating?
The floating city.
No, it's
Is it Mars?
It's Mars.
Okay.
Which now people get mad that I spoiled it, but whatever.
Sorry.
So. That's consistent because, okay, so maybe evolution has happened differently on Mars and whatever, but it's just still a weird choice and kind of unnecessary. But that being said, I thought it was fine. I didn't hate this. I had a good time. But again, my expectations were really low here. And no, this one was not one that I'd had a bunch to drink before.
Let's be clear.
I did.
Did you? What did you drink? What'd you have?
I think I had a margarita.
Okay.
I was a little bored from time to time, and it doesn't have the sort of reckless pulpiness of something like Planet Terror, where Rodriguez is just going full genre and going for nothing but sensation. This one, it feels like he's really trying to sort of craft, because you get thrown a ton of exposition. It's it's in the future and there's been a horrible thing and there's a floating city and then they live on the earth and it's a dystopia, but it's a nice dystopia where everybody has oranges and chocolate. So how bad can it be? I don't know. I by the end of it, I was just kind of can we just, I don't care.
I just found it exhausting and not in a fun way.
I don't know. I think I had more of a good time at this. I thought it moved well. It was, again, this is a better movie about robots fighting than, say, most of the Transformers movies are.
Except for Bumblebee.
If that's the bar.
But that is the bar, right? I mean, those are the ones that keep getting shoved down our throats. So
But
I would
these are
actually,
also like human-sized robots.
yeah. But look, like I would see another one of these. Like I was kind of into it, and I thought it was okay.
Well, in theory, you're going to get many more. We'll see if that actually happens. I'll be curious to see if that actually
We'll
happens.
see
though.
what the new bosses at the mouse say.
Right. So I'm saying 5.6.
I give it a 6.3, which I'm feeling is a little generous, but it is an achievement of something. Like there's so much stuff up there, like the technologically, like there's a lot going on. So I'm giving him points for that, but I was not into it.
I think I may have talked myself up into a slightly higher score, but I'll stick with my 6.5.
Okay.
But I think this is worth seeing.
Our number's a 6.1. Go
I
ahead.
as a mere observer or listener, really, I wasn't watching. There's no way you give it a 6.5 and you gave it a 6.3.
Okay, fine. I'll give it a 6 and you give it a 6.8, and it's the same number.
Okay, sure.
All right, fair enough.
Are you sure?
Yes. I give it a 6.8.
Okay.
So
All
we're
right.
at 6.1.
Well, 6.1 is 61% on the tomato meter. It's
Nailed
sort of
it.
like in that it's in that like 59, 61 kind of up and down on the fresh line there.
Yeah.
So if indeed there are more Alitas to be had, we'll talk about them.
Follow us at BFest All Day on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Find us in all the other podcatching places. And subscribe and like us on YouTube. Thanks.